I am a storyteller, and as such, I have been to many worlds. In this one particular world, it was a very, very interesting world because when I arrived there, I arrived right before this gentleman named Salem was being crowned king. And then he was king of the world, mind you, for about, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes before he decided he didn't want to be king and then got arrested. So I was quite baffled. And I ended up having a chat with a few people there. And they told me all about how he got to be king. So I was told that it started when he was really, really little. And this world was very similar to our world here. Similar food, similar setup, similar in so many ways. The biggest divergency is the fact that this man took over the world. But when he was really little, he went to school one day, and I don't know what happened. Nobody knows what happened on that day of school. The assumption is that he saw other kids eating CheeseItz because he came home and asked his mom for CheeseItz. Hey, can you go buy a box of CheeseItz? And the mother, who was a little bit of a, food person, in the sense of was very picky about what she ate, what she served her children, decided that no, he could not in fact have CheeseItz. Which, to each their own. That is perfectly fine. But Salem apparently fixated on the idea of having CheeseItz. So as he grew up, he would every so often ask his mother for CheeseItz, to which she would say, no, we are not having CheeseItz. And I don't know why this kid didn't think to hey, person, can I try one of your CheeseItz? I don't know why. I have no clue. But they decided against it. And so one day, when they were asking for CheeseItz, they were a little bit older, and the mom explained, hey, I don't like the, all the, stuff that's put into CheeseItz, that sort of thing. I just don't want you having that, processed food. To each their own. Great, fine. Take, whatever. This mom homemade so much stuff. But she said, in response to the question that day of, can I have CheeseItz? Will you buy me a box of CheeseItz? She, that day, instead went, no, but I will make you some brownies. I've got, fresh cocoa that is absolutely amazing. So let me make you some homemade brownies instead. And so this kid got brownies. And while Salem loved the brownies, they were not CheeseItz. They were not CheeseItz. And this kid became obsessed. When they grew up and went to college and stuff, they insisted they were not going to buy their own Cheez-Its. Their mother now had to be the one to buy them Cheez-Its. Which, hold a grudge all you want. That's honestly hilarious. But so, apparently, they asked, they didn't want to buy their own Cheez-Its. They said, at this point, the principle is, somebody else has to give me Cheez-Its. They were talking with a friend they made one time. They were like, hey, can I have Cheez-Its? They were, over at the friend's house or something. Nobody's 100% sure, but we do know that the friend offered Goldfish instead. And this was not Cheez-Its, and Salem had a wee bit of a freak out. It was just that friendship was ruined. They said that he ended up throwing this huge fit and freaking out, and that should have been the hint. That this, I'm going to say kid, they were technically an adult, but I'm going to say this kid was going off the deep end, and nobody did anything. Nobody thought, we're freaking out over Goldfish and Cheez-Its. Maybe we should think about this. So Salem went home and just continued on, but that like breakdown stuck. So they got a really good job. Nobody knows what their first job was. Like, it is as if everything started to change, right? Salem came home one day, like to visit his mother, talked about having a boyfriend. And now this boyfriend was planning something for them. It was supposed to be this big plan. They had been dating for, I think his mom said like 6 months at the time is what she was told. And he was planning something big. So Salem was like super excited. Like, this is the love of Salem's life. Absolutely amazing. And as time goes on, Salem actually, from what I've heard and from what people know, never asked this partner, this boyfriend, for a box of CheeseItz. Salem supposedly had told them all about the CheeseIt debacle and how they refused on principle to buy their own CheeseItz. And instead it needed to be gifted from someone. And so this boyfriend, on their first anniversary, gifted just like a block of cheese and went, I know it's not CheeseItz, but just you wait. Which, like, whoa, what are you playing? A year after a year you hint at like doing this? Like, I don't know. Not my partner, wouldn't have that partner, but also I wouldn't be in that situation. I would have just bought myself CheeseItz. So time passes by, and eventually Salem and this boyfriend do end up breaking up. Nobody really knows why, but it sent Salem into this sort of spiral of grief because Salem was talking about how this boyfriend was the love of their life. They loved them so dearly, and they don't know how they were going to function without them. So they were in this grief spiral. And then it's like all of a sudden one day, a flip switched. Salem decided with their little broken heart that if nobody was going to have the courtesy to gift them CheeseItz, they were going to start taking over the world. And I just want to say that sentence again for the people in the back. Salem decided that because no one would gift them CheeseItz, a box of CheeseItz, that they were going to take over the world about it. Now, I don't know what kind of petty you gotta be to do that, but like, kudos to them for knowing what they want and like having the wherewithal to like stick through it. Like, I'm a little impressed at that. Like, you have your priorities and you stick into them. So nobody can remember how they came to power. But slowly, first they had one like city, town, and then they had like one state, province, whatever they were called. Then they took over a country, then another country, then another, and slowly they started to engulf the world. They got rid of most of like history things that they had. Like, if you wanted to know what this place was called before it was called CheeseIt Capital, I couldn't tell you. That is what he named, like, where he was living, like, the capital of the world. CheeseIt Capital. And all the while, refused to buy himself CheeseItz. And I don't know why nobody in the world thought, maybe I should give him a box of CheeseItz. That might just stop this. But also, he had some really good points. Besides the fact that he was so fixated on CheeseItz, he did end up solving world hunger. There was no more homelessness. Like, the world was so much better. People were not really fighting his takeover once they realized, like, how good it was. A handful of countries just kind of went, hey, we follow you now. Tell us what to do. Which is bizarre. But, like, also kudos to them. Make your places better. You're giving up your power to make sure that your people have it better. Great. Good for you. I'm so happy for you. But yeah, so on his first day, he finally takes over the world. And he is sitting on top of his throne, made of like, or at least the outside at least, was like made of like Cheez-It boxes, or at least decorated as if they were like Cheez-It boxes. It was a throne. It was a whole throne. The castle was like that like red, like the red of the box of Cheez-Its, like that color. And then like the accents were like the orange Cheez-It color. It was an interesting choice to say the least, but like to each their own. Salem was in charge and making things better, so you know what? We can give them that. It was honestly so ridiculous. So when they finally took over the world, the very first like decree they had is nobody's allowed to eat Cheez-Its anymore until somebody gives them Cheez-Its. Which is, I don't even know. Like, why are you putting this company out of business in like one foul swoop? That makes zero sense to me, but like, once again, to each their own. The world was better off to begin with. So this one person who like moved up through the ranks, was in the palace, like had essentially followed Salem around as he took over the world, said, okay, bet, let me put together a care package for you. Like, I've got this. And in the care package, there were some Oreos, there were some Skittles, some different types of chocolate, even a bag of Goldfish. And at the very bottom, there was like a Ziploc bag of Cheez-Its. Like, this person didn't go get a separate box of Cheez-Its, didn't go get like one of the like snack baggies. No, this person took a Ziploc bag, dumped some Cheez-Its into it, zipped it up, and went, here you go. So Salem is like going through, taking things out. Not Cheez-Its, not Cheez-Its, not Cheez-Its, not Cheez-Its, not Cheez-Its. This man, the most dramatic man in the world, unclips the zip, reaches their hand in and takes a Cheez-It. The first thing they do is sniff it. They want to savor this moment. This is the first time they've been given Cheez-Its in their life. And gosh darn it, they're going to enjoy it. So this man puts the Cheez-It on his tongue and closes his mouth and begins to chew, before he spits out the Cheez-It moments later. Owie, this is disgusting! How dare you all let me do this for Cheez-Its? Are you kidding me? Cheez-Its are not even good! Why did I take over the world for Cheez-Its? And listen, nobody knew the answer to that question, truly. And also, it wasn't sometimes a hostile takeover. Like, some people were willing to hand over their country, their whatever. Some people weren't. Some people did not want the world to be like a single entity. So he quickly got hauled off to jail. Like, that was a thing. There was a takeover. It was the most bizarre thing. But one thing I did notice while in that world that really stuck out to me is there was, every so often, this like feeling of deja vu. This feeling of, I know something here. Something is similar. Something is not right, that I couldn't figure out. Now listen, my job as a storyteller is not to interact with the story. My job as a storyteller is to sit and listen and witness, and that's it. Like, I had a conversation with people who figured out how he took over because I realized that is the story I needed to then tell after. So I found people to get me the information I needed so I knew what the progress was of the story, so I could now recount it for you. But something was wrong about the story. I only got pulled in during the end. I don't normally only get pulled in during the end. You've heard my other stories. On the others, I was pulled in before the story fully began, or at least the part that I was supposed to witness. And in this one, I just caught the very end of it. And something felt off. So I'm going to keep looking, trying to figure out what that was, but overall, this was one of the more bizarre worlds and one of the more bizarre stories, and I hope you enjoyed hearing it. So I will see you next time. Goodbye!